This is Dr. Aparna. I am an Ayurvedic psychotherapist, a passionate infopreneur, edupreneur, and medical writer. So, happy International Yoga Day to all, to everybody. So, on this occasion, I thought my session today would be on yoga. So, before beginning the session, no, we all have heard of yoga, and we all have our opinions on yoga. So, on this, magnificent occasion, it is my way of promoting yoga. So, let's cherish, nurture, and promulgate the extensively immense boon of our ancient Indian legacy, that is yoga. So, I thought I did prefer today to share a few definitions in accordance with the significance of yoga. So, what is yoga? What is its actual definition? So, for here we go. Yogaha Anushasanam. Yoga is the discipline. Yoga is the discipline. It is not only the asanas or the postures we practice. Yogaha Anushasanam is the discipline. Yogaha Swastha jeevanam. Yoga is the key to healthy life. Samatwam yogaha uchyate. So, yoga is the way of balancing the mind. Yoga generates the state or sense of equilibrium. So, Samatwam yogaha uchyate. Next, Yogamayee chittaha. So, yoga is alignment of body with mind. Yoga helps the body align with the mind. So, yoga karmasu kaushalam. Yoga karmasu kaushalam is yoga is a proficient skill in action. Yoga is a skill. It is an art which is developed, and the famous definition and the first definition of from the Patanjali Yoga Sutra is Yogaha chitta vritthi nirodhaha. Yogaha chitta vritthi nirodhaha is yoga is the consciousness which isolates mind and intellect from ego. So Yogaha Samaadhihi. So yoga is meditation. So yoga is complete with the meditation aspect. So Yogaha Samaadhihi. These are a few definitions of yoga. So when we talk of yoga, it is rather incomplete to not talk about the Ashtanga yoga. That is, yoga has 8 limbs, the 8 limbs of yoga. In Sanskrit, Ashtanga means 8 limbed. Ashta Anga. Ashtanga yoga is an 8 limbed path towards achieving the state of yoga, also known as samadhi, as we discussed earlier. So, the definition of Ashtanga yoga is found in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. So, Patanjali was the first acharya to give out the Yoga Sutras. So there is a book on Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. So Acharya Patanjali was the first person. So the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, it comprises of 196 sutras. So on the theory and practice of yoga, it is divided into 4 padas, that is 4 parts. The Patanjali Yoga Sutra. The Yoga Sutras are so succinct and therefore almost incomprehensible with commentary. So it is difficult and complex to understand without the commentary. So the most definitive commentary is by Veda Vyasa. His commentary is known as Yoga Bhashya. So Veda Vyasa is the commentator of Acharya Veda Vyasa is the commentator of Patanjali Yoga Sutra, and his commentary is known as Yoga Bhyasa. So as I said, the Yoga Sutras begin with the highest teachings first. So the definition of yoga, as I said, Yogaha chitta vritthi nirodhaha. So yoga is the cessation of the fluctuations of the mind. And yoga is not only the state of yoga but also the practice or sadhana we engage in on the path towards yoga. So, sutras, see Patanjali Yoga Sutra 2.29 of Patanjali Yoga Sutra states about the Ashtanga Yoga. So, what are the Ashtanga Yogas? Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. So yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. So these are the limbs. So what do they mean? The eight limbs of yoga. So what do they actually mean? So what is yama? Yama restraints or observances regarding how the aspiring yogi should relate to his or her community. The yamas are, so yama is the restraints or observances. How should a yogi achieving to his yoga sadhana? So ahimsa, non-violence, satya. The yamas here are, they are five in number. So ahimsa, that is non-violence, satya, truthfulness, asteya, non-stealing, brahmacharya, conservation of vital energy, aparigraha, non-hoarding. So these are the yamas. These are the restraints or observances which a yogi has to retain during his sadhana to achieve yoga sadhana. So niyama, yoga, yama, niyama. Niyama, intense observances that the aspiring yogi should carry out in his or her daily life in order to have a body and mind suited for yoga. The niyamas are, what are the niyamas? So we have yamas, we have seen that they are restraints. So niyamas are what you have to cultivate, or what are the observances needed so that the aspiring yogi should follow. So the niyamas means rules in to tell it in the simple words. So shaucha is cleanliness of the body and mind, and santosha is contentment. Tapas is discipline. Swadhyaya is self study. Ishvara Pranidhana. So surrender to the divine. These are the niyamas. So Shaucha, Santosha, Tapas, Swadhyaya, Ishvara Pranidhana. That means cleanliness of the body and mind, contentment, discipline, self study, and surrender to the divine. Okay, after Yama and Niyama, the asana part. So the asana is the thing we all know. Usually yoga is identified with its asana. So asana is the seat majorly. That means these are meditative postures postures. These are the meditative postures that promote stillness of mind, and physical postures that facilitate sitting for long periods of time in those meditative postures. So asana are nothing but meditative postures. So like vrukshasana, malasana, shavasana, etc. So fourth one is pranayama. So what is pranayama is, we know that the breathing techniques, say in simple words, prana is life force or breath or vital energy, and yama um, is restraint. Pranayama translates to the extension of the life force. Pranayama are breathing practices that involve the retention of breath. So, pratyahara, second after yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, the fifth is pratyahara. Pratyahara is the withdrawal of the senses from the things that are not conducive to the practice of yoga. A moving from the external to internal world. When the five senses are quelled, the mind can then become still. So, pratyahara is withdrawing of the senses. Actually, when we talk of mind control and a withdrawal from the unwholesome objects, we talk about that in Sattva Vajaya Chikitsa, in Ayurveda. So basically, what I practice also involves pratyahara. So I will talk about pratyahara in detail in a different session. Next, dharana. Sixth one is dharana. Dharana is concentration. Ideally, you're concentrated on something or a single thing which is spiritual in nature. So, after dharana comes the dhyana. Dhyana is again the meditation. Um, Uninterrupted flowing concentration in which the meditator begins to merge with the object of meditation. This is dhyana. And the last one, the eighth one, is samadhi, a super conscious trance. This is a blissful state where mind merges fully with and becomes one with the object of meditation. In the highest state of samadhi, there is no longer any object of meditation. So, the eight limbs are a process of going deeper and deeper inward to discover and abide in the divinity within us. When we come to rest in yoga, we are in a state of perfect oneness, beyond peace, beyond bliss. So, this is Ashtanga yogas. So, to summarize and talk about it in you know brief with the definitions, I would just take a few minutes more. So yoga, to simplify, the eight limbs Ashtanga yoga is: yamas are the abstinences, yama, niyama are the observances, that are the rules, asanas are the postures, pranayama is breathing, pratyahara is withdrawal, dharana is concentration, dhyana is meditation, samadhi is absorption. So I think we have some more time. And as you can see in my background, there are all the yoga, and the important thing what I emphasize on in my treatment aspect is the pratyahara. So pratyahara is the fifth limb of yoga. Its meaning is withdrawal of the senses. So the term pratyahara is composed of two Sanskrit words, prati and ahara. Ahara means food or anything we take into ourselves. Prati is against. Together, they mean that withdrawing or weaning away from taking things. So, yoga It's the conscious, so pratyahara is the conscious withdrawal of energy from the indriyas, sense organs. So indriyas, what is pratyahara? So, how to practice pratyahara if people ask? Pratyahara is all about turning inwards. So, how? I am using a phrase from Bhagavad Gita here. A tortoise, no? If you can see, the tortoise moves from its shell, withdraws its shell. That's what we are practicing. Krishna gives an example to Arjuna that how tortoise, while moving, withdraws it into the shell. The limbs are withdrawn into the shell. In the similar way, pratyahara is done with the senses. So how? Um, it is one of the most important aspects of all the limbs, pratyahara, and yet it's the one that we hear discussed the least. The least we have heard discussed in yoga is the pratyahara. So when you think you're getting closer to a deep inner state of peace, and then someone's unattended car alarm goes off in the middle of your meditation, a coworker says something irritating at work, or you're stuck in a traffic jam when you're late for an appointment. See, it is certainly, bringing the consciousness and the concentration to the to one thing. That is, you have to the main thing in pratyahara is to you know is the mind control. How do you control the mind? By deflecting all the distractions. So that's what it means. So the pratyahara, when we talk of pratyahara, Patanjali and many other you, yogis believe that the transcending these stimuli was the next step on the path to the enlightenment. So there are, when I talk of the eight limbs of yoga, there are bahiranga, outer or external practice of yoga. These are yama, niyama, asana and pranayama. This yama, niyama, asana and pranayama you can practice externally, but antaranga, next four, what are there? They are antaranga, they are the internal practices of yoga, the final three limbs: dharana, dhyana and samadhi. They are this pratyahara, dharana, dhyana and samadhi. This practice allows the outer to become the inner and inner to become the outer. So um, instead of getting lost in the external world and the senses, while sensing the world around them, they fold in on themselves and emulate the true nature of the mind stuff. So, the regulation of the mind leads to the regulation of the indriyas, and this can only be done through self control and sadhana. So, like the tortoise, when we draw back into ourselves, shifting our orientation from external to internal, we become fixed in the ever present lights of the soul. So there are four types of pratyahara. One is the indriya pratyahara, that is the control of the senses, allows for extensive concentration. Senses means here, it means the senses, the five sense organs, and the five organs in action, and the mind. control of the senses means that. So first thing is indriya pratyahara. So the control of senses allows for extensive concentration. What it does is indriya pratyahara helps in concentration, like concentrating in one thing. So prana pratyahara, second is prana pratyahara. So control of prana. Prana is vayu, the air. Prana controls our senses, so control of prana is necessary to stop our energy from becoming scattered. So prana pratyahara is also achieved through the pranayama. So once you have the control over the pranayama, once you have siddhi over the pranayama, then you can achieve siddhi in prana pratyahara also. So third is karma pratyahara. So what is karma? Control of action, restraining ourselves to follow the right path of action. Right path of action. So, karma pratyahara is restraining ourselves to follow the right path of action. And the last thing is mano pratyahara. This is the main thing, control of the mind from the senses. So, four pratyaharas, I'll repeat it once again. Indriya pratyahara, control of the senses. Prana pratyahara, control of prana, that means air. Karma pratyahara, control of action. Mano pratyahara, control of the mind from the senses. Why is pratyahara important? So I'm talking about pratyahara. Why is it important? The ability to withdraw our senses and so control the noisy mind may sound like a killjoy, but in reality, it restores the pristine flavors, textures, and the discoveries that we associate the innocence and freshness of a childhood. A person, when he achieves siddhi in pratyahara, after controlling the senses, the prana, the action, and the mana, his mind, he is full of innocence and freshness of childhood. Is he's ready to gain more knowledge or jnana. So the practice of pratyahara allows us to become less reactive. So stimulus does not, to become less reactive. In this world, we are more reactive than responsive. So it allows to be more responsive than reactive. So these are some of the important points, of pratyahara. So what I meant to talk is, I have only told just a little bit, a small part of yoga. Today I have spoken on it. So to conclude, here, to all my viewers, I would say a very happy, memorable, and glorious International Yoga Day 2023. So let's cherish, nurture, and promulgate the extensive, immense boon of our ancient Indian legacy, that is yoga. Thank you. That's it for today. I'll be back in my next session. And good afternoon. Namaste.